You're awesome.
Oh,
Isn't that
that's
great?
from me.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alright guys, good to go.
Alright, genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, have been a pretty popular topic in the news lately, and I felt like I should provide a bit of information on the positive role that GMOs play in our nation's agriculture. And the manipulation of crops has been a process that's been used for thousands of years, and we have just recently, in the last 13 years, have used biotechnology to manipulate these seeds to prompt better traits in our crops. These traits include better taste, better nutritional value, and easier to for crops to survive easier in harsh environments. And there's a slight misconception that these GMOs are dangerous for our health. And I'm going to attempt to persuade you that, in fact, genetically manipulating these seeds is not harmful to us and actually beneficial and produce better results than non-altered crops. And with that, I would like to begin with the safety of the crops produced using GMOs. There is no difference between the genetically altered crops and non-altered crops, and foreign substances are not added to altered crops. Scientists take a piece of DNA and move it inside of the nucleotide, and this fusion of DNA provides these prompts and will give different results for different things. The FDA requires all of these companies that are developing GMOs to test for safety, and these tests have shown that there has been no human deaths or illnesses as a result of consumption of GMO crops. Another general concern is that GMOs are bad for the environment. And in fact, the current practice of agriculture is already the most damaging to our environment, at least for human damage. And the use of GMOs in agriculture can repair damage done by creating plants that are resistant to insects, which have cut down the use of chemicals such as pesticides and insecticides. And actually, some genetic modifications can reduce the amount of water used, so it will help in seasons where there's drought. And also, chemical fertilizers will be reduced. The use of chemical fertilizers will be reduced, and this will change the environmental impact that these chemicals leave behind. The only potential risk that the use of GMOs can leave on the environment is the creation of super pests and super weeds. And although this can possibly happen, they've already found a solution, which would require farmers to plant or actually set aside acreage for non-altered crops, just to prevent the evolution of these pests and other dangers for them. GMO crops can help reduce world hunger. This is because the GM seeds, even with the use of GM seeds, even the smallest farms can produce bigger and better and more reliable crops. This will allow them to grow more food for themselves and provide a surplus of crops to earn a profit. There are now GM crops being developed that are nutrition enhanced, which prevent the effects of malnutrition. And thinking long term, the use of GM crops could be the only possible way to keep up with the world population increase, which may double up to 12 billion people by the year 2050. And the use of these GM seeds to handle this increase would result in the least amount of environmental damage and decrease famine and world hunger. GMOs can benefit everyone on the planet, beginning with the farmers, who can now deliver a more enhanced product with better tastes, longer shelf life, and more nutritional content. And these beneficial traits will affect everyone on the planet, as it will provide nutritious and longer lasting foods for even the poorest of countries, as well as decrease the overall cost of food to the end consumer. And the final thing that I would like to speak about today is the argument of whether these products made using GMOs should be labeled, which is actually the hot topic currently, that is labeling of these products. And the answer is no. They should not be labeled because this would deter consumers from purchasing these products that are created using GMOs, because it kind of sets up a fear that these are chemically enhanced and that you're putting something foreign into your body. Currently, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration already requires that all food content and nutritional facts be labeled on products sold, and this requirement provides sufficient information to the consumer. And in conclusion, it is believed that if used correctly, the use of GMOs can be more beneficial to the future of this planet than current agricultural practices. And the evidence shows that it can potentially reduce world hunger, help provide and produce stronger and more nutritional crops, and reduce harm done to the environment caused by our current farming practices. And in addition, it reduces the use of deadly chemical pesticides, which can be passed to the consumer and animals, which is potentially more harmful than the genetically altered crops.